Hello everyone, I am Varish and in today's video we would be talking about chemistry. Now, in such a vast universe, chemistry deals with all the smallest particles present in everything. So chemistry is a branch of science that deals with all the smallest particles, their reactions and their behaviors. So now let us give an introduction to chemistry. Now, when you think of the smallest particles, you might have a question. What is the smallest particle in the universe? And that's right. What you guessed is right. Atoms. Atoms are the smallest particles which are present in the universe. Now, you cannot break these atoms further. And that's what the definition says. Atoms are the smallest things in the universe and they could not be divided. So, they are the smallest things in every substance in the universe and they cannot be divided. And they make up more complex substances called molecules and elements. So, atoms make up molecules and elements. Now, examples can be an atom of gold or Au, or an atom of carbon C, or an atom of hydrogen H, etc. Now, let's move on further and understand elements. Now, elements are made up from atoms. Now, as we have seen that atoms are the smallest substances present in the universe, elements are more complex substances which are made from atoms. And they have certain physical and chemical properties. Now, you might ask a question, what do these physical and chemical properties mean? Physical properties are the properties in which the elements react with the external environment, like how do they reflect light, how do they change their state, etc. And the chemical properties are the properties, and they basically deal with the reactions with other substances and etc. So they have certain physical and chemical properties that vary from each other, and they're made up of atoms. And if you break an element down, you would get particles of that element, but you won't get particles of any other substance. So these three conditions tell us that it is an element. So elements are made from atoms. They have certain physical and chemical properties, and if an element is broken, you get the same particles of that element, but you won't get particles of some other element. Now, there are 118 elements which are being recorded in the periodic table, which we would learn in our next videos. Examples can be hydrogen H, potassium K, chlorine Cl, etc. Now, as we saw, elements are more complex substances which are made up from atoms. Let's see what are molecules now. So, molecules are very different. Now, molecules are a mix of atoms. Now, as we have seen, elements are made from only one kind of atom, and that is the reason when we break an element, we would find the same substance. But molecules, they are made from different kinds of atoms, or two substances or more substances in one molecule. So we can see over here, this is a water molecule and it has a formula of H2O. 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So here in molecules you can see two different types of atoms, the hydrogen atoms and the oxygen atoms which are present. And molecules, as you have seen, there can be another type of molecules where there can be only one type of atom, but a number of atoms make a molecule. That's the only condition. So molecules can be of the same atom, of the same kind of atom. So that's what is a molecule. Now, the atoms in the molecule are joined by different types of bonds that we would learn in some other videos. Next comes the compounds. Now, the compounds are made up of elements. Now, as we have seen, atom is the smallest particle, then elements which are made up of only one kind of atom, and then molecules which are made up of two kinds of atoms or one kind of atom. Now, these compounds are made up of elements, and many elements come together to form a compound. So when you break a compound, you would get different types of elements, not only one kind of element. So it's a mix of particles. Let us see this one. So over here, it's sulfuric acid H2SO4 in this example. So it has hydrogen in it, it has sulfur in it, and it has oxygen in it. So it's a mix of all these elements and it forms a compound. So to summarize, atom is the smallest particle, then similar kind of atoms come together to form an element. An element has certain chemical and physical properties, and if you break down an element, you would get the same kind of particle. Then you got the molecule. Now, molecule can be made up of one type of atom or two types of atoms. So, if you take one type of atom, you would get hydrogen molecule. So, two atoms of hydrogen can make up a hydrogen molecule, and then a water molecule which consists of oxygen and hydrogen, so it can vary. And then we saw the compounds which are made up of different elements. Now, compounds are made up of different elements, and they are also a mixture. So if you break down a compound, you won't get any one kind of substance, you would get different kinds of substances. For example, you take H2SO4, you get hydrogen, you get sulfur, and you get oxygen. Now let us see how this table works below. What is the connection between an atom and a molecule and an element and a compound? Now, atom, as we see, is the smallest substance in the universe, so the base of every substance starts from an atom. So these atoms can make up further molecules, elements, and compounds. So let us see. Atoms can make up molecules, they can make up elements, they can even make up compounds. And let's go step by step now. First, atoms make molecules. Now, molecules can make compounds. Atoms make elements. Elements can make compounds. Atoms can even make compounds. So this is the flowchart. Atoms make molecules, elements, and compounds can be even formed by elements and molecules. So now let us summarize what we have learned till now from the start. So atoms are the smallest particles which are present, and they make up more complex particles like molecules and elements. Now, atoms are the smallest things in the universe, and there are examples of atoms like carbon atom and gold atom. And next comes the elements. Now, elements are made from atoms. They have certain physical and chemical properties, and if we break down an element, we get the same kind of element. Now, hydrogen and potassium are examples. Then molecule, it's a mix of substances or the same kind of atoms, and it is joined by bonds. And then compounds, they're made up of different types of elements. And we look at the table over here. Atoms can make molecules, elements, and compounds, and then these molecules and elements can also make compounds. So hope you learned something new in today's video, and you got a clarification between atoms, molecules, compounds, and elements. In our next videos, we will go more into the structures of these different types of substances: atoms, molecules, elements, and compounds. Until then, goodbye.